Hello everyone, it's Melanie here with Vintage Hill Studio. Today we'll be making a masculine card. This is very easy with an inked background and a line of evergreens in a silhouette. And this is what it looks like. Alright, so let's get going here. The first thing I'm going to be using is this clear stamp from Momenta. It is this line of evergreens that lends itself well to a silhouette. Some distress inks, one distress oxide ink, and some blending brushes. A Versamark sticky ink pad for heat embossing. So my card base today is 5x7 and it is a heavyweight cardstock. I'll be using this sentiment from Recollections. It says, "Let the adventure begin." And the first thing I want to do is get this heat embossed on the front of my card. Now, if you've worked with embossing powder before, you know that it sticks to anything. That's why it's very important to use a embossing powder tool. It even takes off the oils from your fingertips. So first you want to prep your card with this embossing powder tool. Then we're going to stamp the sentiment. And the reason I'm starting this way today is because the inked background will stay wet for quite a while and the powder could possibly stick to the ink. So to eliminate that, I'm just going to do the sentiment right off the bat here. Get this all done and heat embossed and then start working on the inking. So I like to use a coffee filter behind my powder. I'll get that all put down, and for some reason I lost the footage on the actual heat embossing part here, but this is what it looks like when it's done. Just a simple little sentiment there for the bottom of my card. Alright, the next thing you need is a 1 5/8 inch circle. Now you can use a die, or you can use a punch, or you can simply draw a circle and cut this out by hand. I'm making a mask here for the front of my card. And you can see I've made it like 5.5 inches wide by 7 so that it will fit perfectly over the front of my card when I fold that back around the fold line. In other words, my mask is going to fit over the front of my card. And then I took that circle die and I just cut out a simple circle where I wanted the moon to be on the front of my card. And I will get that put together using those paper clips. So again, just putting that flap over the fold line. This is a self-made mask here. Securing it with a couple of paper clips, and I'm ready to start on the inking. So I'm going to start out first with a little lighter color of distress ink. Now this won't show up too well on this cardstock, but just know that it is prepping this area for the moon with some ink, so that as I move on to the blue colors, they will just blend and add a little color, layers at a time here. So you can see I'm kind of starting off on my mask and then moving into the moon area here, trying to keep it a little heavier on one side than the other so that it looks a little more two-dimensional and not so flat. Okay, now when I come over with this distress oxide, you can see this shows up so much better on that dark cardstock. Okay, we're about done with the moon here. Now remember, I did keep the negative part of that circle die, and that's going to come in handy because I'm going to create a secondary mask here. I will remove this outer mask that covered the whole front of our card, keeping my finger on that negative space there so that I can just adhere this with a little washi tape because I don't want to ink over the moon. I'm going to ink all around it. Okay, now to help me, I just turned my card because it was easier for me to ink this going up and down than across. So I'm going to start with my lighter color first up in the sky here, and I'll add a little music and I'll get back to you in just a few minutes. so now I'm going to come over and lightly remove some of that excess ink from the embossed sentiment. And then I'm going to spritz a little bit of water over the background and dab it with a paper towel to create a starry sky. So this is the beauty of the Distress inks. They are water reactive. It will create a great background for your sky here. Next, I'll be ready to start adding that silhouette of trees. So I'll bring over my Tonic Studio stamping platform, and I'm going to start on the right hand side because the stamp is not long enough to stretch across the 7-inch width of this card. So I'm just going to place that in my stamping platform and use some VersaFine Onyx Black ink and get this inked up and stamped right over that background that we just created. The Onyx Black ink is just a wonderful ink for very detailed stamps, and also it gives such a crisp dark black color. So I love using that ink pad. Okay, by using the stamping platform, if you do need to re-ink and re-stamp, that's where the platform comes in so handy. Now when you're ready, just slide it over, determine what area of trees you need to re-ink, and I'm using a little piece of tape here to help me with that. Now in hindsight, I should have cleaned off my stamp first because you can see it left a little bit of that residue from the taller trees. That's okay. The Distress inks are great for that as well. I'll just go over that a little later with another one of my blending brushes and just brush out that little bit of ink up near the moon. So that completes the line of my trees and my card for today. I hope you enjoyed watching this simple masculine card come together. I know we can all use more of these types of cards, and maybe you can look at some of your stamps that would lend themselves well to a silhouette type of stamping. Thank you so much for dropping by today. I hope you will come back and see me again next week. Thank you to all my subscribers who so loyally follow me, and welcome to anyone new who may want to become a new subscriber. I post card videos weekly, and I hope to see you again next week. Happy crafting, everyone!